Obama left the White House, but did he actually leave power? The real money and influence never stopped, and Elon Musk just demonstrated how deep it goes. Tucker Carlson fixes his tie, leans forward, and looks directly at the camera. His countenance is keen, and his tone is measured yet filled with expectation. The air in the room feels heavy with the weight of what is about to be revealed. Tonight we're going to discuss something that's been hiding in plain sight. Something so huge, so thoroughly ingrained in current politics, that most people don't even consider it. But once you hear what we're about to say, you won't be able to ignore it. He pauses for a moment before saying anything else. We all know that former presidents write books, give speeches, and build estates in regions where most Americans would never visit. But what if I told you that was only the beginning? What if I told you that one past president has constructed something much above anyone's expectations, leveraging influence, worldwide connections, and money to raise serious questions? He turns to face his guest. Elon Musk is here tonight, and he's about to break this story wide open. The camera pans to Elon Musk, who sits across from Carlson. He's comfortable, yet his stare is intense. He is well aware that what he is about to say would make everyone take notice. He takes a breath and leans in slightly. Tucker, let me put it this way. When it comes down to it, Obama's post-presidential career is more than just book agreements and speaking money. It's about a system, one that allows those who are meant to serve the public to walk away with fortunes comparable to Silicon Valley millionaires. And the real question is, who is funding it? And what are they getting in return? Carlson nods, brow wrinkled. This is not simply another political debate. This is something deeper, something larger. You're saying there's more to it than just making money once you leave the office. Musk exhales and shakes his head slightly, as if the solution is apparent. Lots more. People believe that politicians retire and live tranquil lives, but this is not the case. What occurs is that they play a separate game in which influence is the currency, and Obama has perfected it. The true tale isn't just about his fortune, it's about how he got there, who assisted him, and why they did so. Carlson leans back, taking in Musk's comments. The audience can feel it. This argument is about to get hot, and it may question everything they thought they knew about American dominance. But Musk is not finished yet. The camera focuses on Carlson's face. He's listening, but there's a weight to his expression, like a silent storm developing. He clasps his fists together on the desk, tilts his head slightly, and unleashes the most furious true challenge. Let's not dance around it, Elon. People understand that past presidents gain money after they leave office. That is not new. But you're arguing Obama is different. You say there's a machine behind him. What exactly are we looking at? Musk exhales sharply, as if anticipating the seriousness of his next remarks. It's not just about money, Tucker. It is about long-term global influence. Obama left office, and within a few years, he was not only affluent but also one of the world's most powerful private leaders. But nobody is asking how, because the math does not add up. Carlson squints, curious. What doesn't add up? Musk sits up and shifts slightly in his chair. Let's start with real estate. He purchased a huge mansion on Martha's Vineyard for $12 million. Then there's the D.C. estate, a multi-million-dollar residence, a third home in Hawaii. Tucker, these aren't simply houses but fortresses. Nonetheless, the public was informed that these purchases were made as a result of book sales and talks. I operate multi-billion-dollar businesses, and even I realize that doesn't track. Carlson's eyebrows lift slightly, but he remains silent. Musk continues. Let's look at the numbers. Obama's memoir agreement is reportedly for $65 million. His speaking fees might be as high as $400,000 per event. At first glance, that appears to be a large sum. However, based on his lifestyle, assets, foundation, and global alliances, this is not a man who lives off book revenues. This is a man who continues to play the game at a level that no one is talking about. So you're saying these book deals, these speaking fees, they're just a cover? Musk smirked faintly, but there was no amusement in it. A distraction. Publishing houses and lecture halls do not generate the majority of the revenue. It stems from far larger events, including private deals, worldwide partnerships, and, most crucially, strategic alliances with some of the world's wealthiest and most influential individuals. And you have proof of this? Musk nods. I've observed the patterns, shell firms and offshore investments, but it's more than simply documents. It's about connections, who he meets, where he travels, and what businesses he suddenly becomes interested. And Tucker Carlson leans forward with fingers clasped. The weight of Musk's words hangs in the air, but he knows there is more. There needs to be more. You mean Obama isn't just making money, he's still playing the game? Explain that. How does a former president maintain influence after leaving office? Musk's expression tightens. He casts a brief glance at the camera, as if weighing his words carefully. Tucker, let me put it this way. Obama never departed. He simply changed sides. Think about it. Most previous presidents blend into the background. They publish their books, hold a few charity events, and possibly establish a foundation. But Obama is different. He's still interacting with foreign leaders, dictating legislation, and most importantly, influencing industries that have ties to the same people who sponsored his campaigns. Carlson exhales through his nose and shakes his head slightly. Give me an example. Musk does not hesitate. Tech, green energy, and media, three fields in which influence is more valuable than gold. And Obama has direct relationships to each of them. Look at who he visits, who he collaborates with, and who profits from the policies he continues to quietly promote behind closed doors. Carlson presses his lips into a thin line. He already understands where this is going. Silicon Valley. Musk nods, his expression unreadable. Bingo, Tucker. The folks who gained billions from federal contracts during his presidency are still writing checks and opening doors for him. It's a revolving door, and this should truly make people reconsider everything. Obama's influence has expanded, not lessened, while he is no longer in office. He has no restrictions. Musk spreads his hands. Exactly. There are no laws requiring openness or oversight, only access. And that is what people don't understand. When a president leaves office, their authority is not lost. It is simply repackaged. And Obama has been repackaged as something considerably more powerful than anyone thinks. Carlson shook his head and exhaled forcefully. So you're arguing that the speeches, book deals, and foundations are just window dressing. The actual power play takes place in boardrooms, private jets, and closed-door meetings with billionaires. Musk nods once, slowly and deliberately, and that's where the real money lies, not in royalties or guest lectures, in transactions with influence in sectors that control information, energy, and global markets. And Obama has been playing that game better than anyone. Carlson's expression hardens. This is more than simply one man's fortune. It's about how the system operates. And Musk is about to go even further. Carlson exhales sharply and looks at his notes. It is no longer only about post-presidential prosperity. It's about something far larger, something worldwide. He raises his sight to Musk, eyes piercing. You're telling me that Obama's influence did not end when he departed the White House, and that he is still moving pieces on the board. But that type of influence, genuine power, is not limited to Silicon Valley billionaires. It stems from something far larger, something beyond the United States. Musk nods, his mouth tensing slightly. Now you've got it, Tucker. Follow the money, and you'll notice a pattern that leads outside of America. Obama is negotiating deals not only in the United States but also throughout the world. And the folks who fund this lifestyle are more than just donors. They are global players, corporate behemoths, and foreign governments with a vested interest in U.S. policies. Carlson leans forward slightly, his voice quiet but forceful. Which governments? Musk does not hesitate. China, the Middle East, and parts of Europe. It's not only about speaking engagements, Tucker. It's about strategic partnerships, think tanks and foundations with ambiguous humanitarian intentions that happen to coincide with the interests of foreign investors. Obama does not need to sit in the Oval Office anymore. He can influence policy from the outside while yet receiving large salaries from people seeking access to U.S. power systems. Carlson's lips parted slightly, and his expression changed from one of fascination to one closer to disdain. Let me get things straight. You're arguing that while Americans are struggling with inflation, job losses, and rising costs, a former president is making a lot of money, not just from American firms but also from foreign entities who still see him as a ticket to influence. Musk exhales and shakes his head slightly. That is exactly what I am saying, and nobody talks about it since he isn't alone. Here's how the system works. Presidents do not retire, Tucker, they graduate. And if you play the game well, you will not only retire wealthy, but also strong. Carlson sits back in his chair, arms crossed, and a deep crease forms between his brows. Musk's statements hang in the air like a thick fog for a minute. He simply stares at him, processing everything. So, let's put this in context. Obama does not simply leave office as a wealthy man. He leaves with the keys to power, making moves behind the scenes and pulling strings that affect companies, laws, and international markets. And the typical American has no idea what is happening. Musk nods slowly, his face inscrutable. That is the point, Tucker. That is how it was designed. People imagine that when politicians leave office, they will fade into history. But this is only an illusion. The truth is that they just transition into a new phase, one with even fewer constraints, in which they can function without scrutiny. And the real kicker? The same people who funded their rise to power are still there, backing them and benefiting. Carlson scoffs and shakes his head slightly. And yet, we're told to believe in democracy, that our votes shape the future, that elections determine who holds power. Musk gives out a dry chuckle and rubs his chin thoughtfully. Elections change the people in front of the camera, but actual power never changes. It's just moving in the backdrop. Consider this. How many former politicians do you see sitting quietly on company boards? How many of them unexpectedly became advisors to billion-dollar corporations? Tucker, they aren't getting paid for their knowledge. They are rewarded for their connections and influence, and Obama is the gold standard for this system. Carlson rubs his face and breathes loudly through his nostrils. The contempt is clear now, not just with Obama, but with the entire game. What does this mean for the rest of us? What does it imply for the regular person sitting at home watching this, knowing that the people they previously trusted are still out there doing backroom deals and securing generational wealth while the rest of the country struggles? Musk's countenance hardens and his voice grows harder. It means that the system is not broken, Tucker. It works perfectly as intended. And if people don't pay attention, things will only become worse. Carlson exhales while gazing directly into the camera. He knows the audience is experiencing it right now. A quiet irritation, the understanding that the game was rigged long before they had a chance to play. Musk still has one more thing to reveal. Carlson tightens his grasp on his pen, tapping it lightly on the desk. He's always known that corruption is widespread, but this is something different. The scale, the precision, it is surgical. He moves in his seat, his tone lowering slightly, as if poised to strike. So, let's bring this to its logical conclusion. If what you're saying is correct, and Obama has been working behind the scenes at this level, the real question is what he's doing now. What is the endgame? Musk exhales through his nostrils and tilts his head slightly before responding. Tucker, you don't establish an empire just to sit around and watch. You create it to grow. And right now, Obama is establishing himself as one of the world's most powerful private individuals, rather than simply influencing policy. Not a politician, not a businessman, but somewhere in the middle. A gatekeeper. Carlson frowns. A gatekeeper to what? Musk leans forward slightly, his voice quiet and methodical, to the future of industry, media, and the government itself. Tucker, He's not your typical past president. He is an architect. And whether people recognize it or not, he helped shape the world they live in today, and this is only going to continue. Carlson takes a slow breath and stares at Musk. He does not blink. The ramifications of what was just stated loom over the studio like a heavy, invisible weight. So, the American people, the ones who voted, who thought they were making a difference, they're just spectators. Musk's lips form a narrow line. We're not spectators, Tucker. Consumers and products. People in positions of authority manage not only the system, but also the narratives that keep everyone in line. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Carlson looks directly into the camera. For the first time during the conversation, there is no sign of performance, only something genuine, almost like wrath. He then speaks. Carlson allows the quiet to linger, not for dramatic effect, but because there is nothing else to say that will not diminish the significance of what has just been disclosed. He exhales through his nostrils, looks down at his papers and tosses them aside. None of it matters anymore. He looks directly at the camera, his speech steady yet tinged with something deeper. If you're seeing this right now, please think about something. How many times have you heard that democracy works, that your vote is important, and that politicians work for you? And how many times have you seen the exact opposite occur repeatedly, regardless of who is in office? He pauses, allowing the question to settle in before continuing. We were educated to believe in a system that encourages honesty, punishes corruption, and returns authority to the people. But tonight, we've put out something distinct, which most people don't want to acknowledge. Power does not vanish. It does not retire. It just moves. And when it does, it takes everything with it, including your trust, future, and options. Because in the end, this is about more than just Obama. It's about a system that was never intended to help you in the first place. Carlson turns to Musk as if to give him the final say. Musk sits back in his chair, his face unreadable. People should wake up, Tucker. Not only to Obama, but to the entire situation. Because nothing will change if the public continues to play along and believe what they are taught. But the moment they start asking genuine questions and demanding real answers, things change. That is when the game becomes dangerous. Carlson nods slowly and deliberately, returning his gaze to the camera for one more time. So ask yourself, are you paying attention? Or are you just another pawn in a game you didn't even know existed? The screen fades to black. If you find this topic relevant or thought-provoking, share it, talk about it, and ask the questions no one else is asking. Most crucial, don't just listen, act.